If you struggle with hip, knee, ankle, or even lower back issues, be it from a lack of mobility, tightness, or even pain, the deep squat or the resting squat can help you get rid of those problems. And what many people get wrong about the deep squat is that it is not actually an exercise, but a fundamental human resting position. For thousands of years, we have used this position to rest, and not being able to sit down comfortably in a deep squat or a resting squat can lead to a myriad of problems. Now, of course, there are multiple reasons that can keep you from getting all the way down. One myth that I still hear a lot is that getting too deeply into a squat can hurt your knees, when in fact it is the opposite. Not taking your knees through a full range of motion ever is going to hurt your knees. That is not even debatable. So getting down into this position is actually one of the best ways to keep your knees from getting injured, just by teaching them how to go through a complete range of motion. And when it comes to dropping down all the way into a deep squat or a resting squat position, 99% of people have the same problems. It's either a lack of ankle mobility, a lack of hip mobility, or weakness in their core and their hip flexors. And then of course you have to keep in mind that depending on your body structure, specifically the length of your femur and how it is positioned in your hip will make a difference in your stance as you drop down into a squatting position. People with shorter femurs can stay shoulder width apart or even narrower, keep their feet pointing forward and still drop down into a very comfortable sitting position. However, if your femur is longer, chances are you will fall backwards when you are in a narrow stance. What you can do to make this a lot easier is simply wider than shoulder width apart and turning your toes into an external rotation, which is going to move your hips into external rotation and give you enough space to lower down all the way with your hips between your legs. You need to find out which stance is most comfortable for you. Is it a narrow parallel stance? Is it a wider externally rotated stance? Now, with your stance taken care of, if you start going down into your deep squat position, if your heels start raising, but your back is completely upright and straight, your problem is probably only an ankle mobility problem. On the other hand, if your feet stay flat, but your back starts rounding forward, it is more of a hip mobility problem. And if you're one of the 1% of people whose heels start raising and their back starts rounding, then you, my friend, have a lot of work to do. So let's take care of the ankle mobility problem first, because that is one of the easiest things to work on. Because all you need to do is simply elevate your heels, which is going to make it a lot easier for you to drop down into a complete deep squat with an upper body and a straight back. Over time, as your ankle mobility gets better, you will start decreasing that elevation, and over time you will be able to flatten your feet while your upper body is fully upright. Meanwhile, you can start working on your ankle mobility. You will drop down close to a wall, a squat rack, a door frame. Step away with your foot from sad position, and then you're going to start pushing your knee forward until it touches that wall without your heel raising, actively driving your knee forward and your heel into the floor, reversing, releasing any sort of tension and any sort of stretch you might have in your gastroc, soleus and your Achilles before you push forward again. Over time, you will increase that distance and push forward even more. As for our second exercise, place your foot on an elevation and then start driving your hips and knees forward once again. Being sure that your heel doesn't start raising will help you immensely when it comes to working on your ankle mobility, and has a nice bonus to give you that hip flexor stretch, that quad stretch. Now, if your problem is hip mobility, as we said, your back starts rounding, your chest starts collapsing, an exercise that can help you out immensely is the classic Cossack squat. And we will differentiate between a handful of variations. Variation number 1, feet parallel, is going to actively help you work on your adductors and the inside of your thighs by keeping your feet flat, just like so, and pushing your hip down as far as you can without losing your balance. If you do lose your balance, grab onto something to help you balance your upper body out until you have the necessary mobility as well as strength to lower down all the way And of course, use the same thing for the other side. As for our second variation, a deep Cossack squat, where we start raising our heel, sitting down all the way, and then moving into external rotation in our hip joint in the extended leg, while pushing our knees apart will help us open up our adductors while lengthening our hamstrings, and of course, always move all the way up and all the way down on the other side. Drive your hips down and open up your knees actively. You can even place your hands on the floor and push outwards, all the way up, all the way down, open up, and repeat on the other side. As for the lack of hip flexor strength and core strength, that will come with more time spent in a deep squat. However, there is a solution for that too. We will simply front load our squat, which is going to make it a lot easier to keep our upper body forward and our balance in the front without falling backward. Over time, all you need to do is simply reduce that weight by tiny increments until you're using the tiniest weight for the last couple of days. And over time, you will be able to simply remove that weight and sit perfectly relaxed in this deep squat position with your upper body fully extended. Now, if you feel like your body's totally messed up, your femurs are just too long, your ankles are locked, number one, wider stance. Number two, externally rotate your toes. Number three, grab yourself a weight. And now we're gonna combine all of these, just like so. Over time, you will be able to reduce the weight, reduce the elevation, and bring your upper body into a completely upright position without any problems. Now, these are just complementary exercises. You do not need to do them. However, you will be very grateful that you did, because while the deep squat is an amazing resting position, it is also a doorway to some of the most amazing mobility exercises you can work with. First one, hands down to the floor, knees down to the floor, bringing your back into spinal extension, and when reversing, back into spinal flexion, rounding your back, lengthening your shoulders, tucking your chin, and repeating once more, working on your ankle, knee, and hip mobility, but most important, on your pelvic tilt, which is one of the things that not too many people work on, and that later comes to bite them in the ass. Next exercise, very simple, short movements, internal hip rotations, knee down in front of your toes before you reverse and repeat on the other side as upright as you can with your upper body, switching internal rotations. Then, with an externally rotated hip, by turning our toes outwards and following our toes with our knees, pushing our knee down, and then extending, moving into hip extension, lengthening our quads and our hip flexors, flexing our glutes, working a lot on our hip and knee and ankle mobility. One more time before we reverse, rolling over our toes and repeating on the other side. One of the most amazing hip openers you can go through. Very low effort, very low impact. And if you struggle with this, you can simply work with your hands on the floor. Absolutely no shame in needing assistance until you become strong enough to do this without any help. And then this exercise, this is the creme de la creme. One of the most amazing, if not the most amazing, hip mobility exercise you can do from this position, which is the 90-90 switch. Knee down, rolling over our toes, hips down, and then external rotation on the other side. Upper body fully upright. First, left leg up, and then we're gonna need a lot of core strength and hip flexor strength to pull up, roll over our toes, back into our deep squat, and then in the other direction. Internal hip rotation on one, external hip rotation on the other side. Upper body upright, reversing, and repeating on the other side. Now, the 90-90 switch is such an amazing exercise. I made a complete guide on it, as well as the exercises that can help you work on this. So if you are interested, you can check out this video where we go through it step by step, and this is gonna maximize your deep squat potential. Now, what I would highly recommend, work on the complementary exercises, of course, but if you're one of the people who struggle with getting into this deep squat and resting there, start working your way up to sitting 20 to 30 minutes in this position every single day. You can start with 1 minute. Increase it by a single minute every week. You can watch TV, you can read books, you can play on your PlayStation, play on your Xbox. You will be amazed at how good you can feel with something as simple as a fundamental resting position. Sadly, however, that's all the time I left for you today. If you liked the video, like the video and subscribe. Come on, join us. We do stuff like that very regularly, which means I'll probably see you soon. So until then, have a good one. Captain Cairo, peace out.